figuring out how to scale that channel and keep going with our existing tactics and strategies is definitely something we've done. And yeah, we've been focusing a lot on efficiencies. Having more efficient workflows, lines of communication, and review processes is all super important for us.
Welcome to B2B Content Strategist, where we bring you insights and practical tips straight from the minds of top B2B content marketing experts. I'm Amy Woods, founder and CEO of Content 10X, and in each episode, I chat with leading B2B marketers about how they consistently craft and execute successful campaigns, even when faced with tight deadlines and limited resources. If you're looking to elevate and optimize your content marketing efforts, you're in the right place. Keep listening. Hello and welcome to the B2B Content Strategist podcast. I'm your host, Amy Woods, and in this episode, I speak with Matt Crawford, who is the head of content at Next Insurance. Next Insurance is an online-based insurance company for entrepreneurs and small businesses. In this episode, Matt and I have a great chat about the best content management tools. We talk about how he does more with less, including building in efficiencies, and the ways the content team at Next keep tabs on the pain points affecting their customers. Like other guests on B2B Content Strategist, Matt relates some of his most memorable marketing experiences, like interviewing Lizzo and living the rock and roll lifestyle for a few months with StubHub, and he reveals his favourite type of content to repurpose. We also weigh up the pros and cons of AI-generated content, and Matt discusses why the human touch is so important. I found this conversation fascinating, and I'm sure you will too, so let's jump in. Matt, welcome to B2B Content Strategist podcast. It's really great to have you here.
So great to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be great, I'm sure. So to kick things off, could you share in summary a little bit more about your role and a few sentences about what the organization does as well? That would be great.
Yeah, so I am the head of content at Next Insurance. And Next Insurance is a small business insurance provider. So really working to digitalize the insurance buying, servicing, and management process for small business owners and entrepreneurs. In my role, I'm responsible for organic content across website, social, email, newsletter. And I work with our creative lead for performance advertising on social. And then also, just all things social, managing all of our channels.
So what does your team look like in terms of the particular roles and how many people within the content part of the marketing area?
Yeah, I would say we're a pretty scrappy team based on our output. So we have a full-time SEO content editor and website, full-time head of creative who does the advertising side and also helps with some organic video and managing all of our video outputs. Then we have a contract social media manager who does strategy and execution on the social front. And we have some agency help and some freelancers and contractors beyond that.
Yeah, that makes sense in terms of what you do in team size. Are there certain aspects that you always like to really retain and keep in-house, and then some particular expertise and skill set that you tend to think is always best to go to outsourced work with agencies or freelancers and that kind of outside support?
Yeah, so in-house is really important for us for our web content because it's insurance and it's kind of a niche topic that not a lot of people know about. And in fact, we hire a lot of people that aren't familiar with it and we train them. But we really need people who are familiar with the product and the nuances of that and the pain points of our customers. So having at least one kind of seasoned editor there. And then on the copy side beyond that, we try to work with a team of consistent contractors and freelancers who can learn and grow with us. Social is mostly done through contractors and agencies, and we have very detailed briefs for that. And the same on the ads side as well. We have briefs that really articulate what we're looking for.
Yeah, that tends to be, very, I guess, similar answer to many of the B2B marketers that I work with. Although it's interesting that you said that you have the full time in-house SEO support, because quite often I find when I ask that question, SEO can often be something that's outsourced as well. So, but you mentioned you've got a full-time like in-house person that's handling SEO, didn't you? So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's been a big focal point for us since I joined the company almost 5 years ago. And that's actually more of my background as at a competitor doing similar things. So that was one of our main marketing channels, and the decision was to have it in-house early.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm often finding with the marketing teams that we speak to at the moment that a big theme, especially this year in particular, has been encouraging the content team to do more with less. Is that something that you find is, a key thing for you guys, to be trying to look at the ways that you can do more with less and find ways to build in like efficiencies and streamline processes and things like that to enable you to do that?
Yeah, for sure. I would say even with my role this year, I inherited the social function, the organic socials. So, yeah, figuring out how to scale that channel and keep going with our existing tactics and strategies is definitely something we've done. And yeah, we've been focusing a lot on efficiencies, having more efficient workflows, lines of communication and review processes is all super important for us. And still kind of a work in progress, but getting better and better each day at it.
So what I'd love to know is, could you share your most memorable marketing campaign? Now, it doesn't necessarily even have to be from your current role. You can draw from your career and previous roles that you've had as well. But what would you say is one of, doesn't have to be but one of the most memorable campaigns? I'd just love to know why it was so memorable, and what was the important measure of success or the important metrics and things like that you were looking for with that particular very memorable campaign?
Yeah, there's been a lot of them. I would say one of the most memorable ones was early in my content marketing career. I've been doing content for a long time, but I really switched over to the marketing side in 2017, and that was a job at StubHub doing content marketing there. And yeah, I spent a whole summer there managing our Festival Pro campaign. So basically flying around the US and sometime in Europe, creating content, working with influencers, working with our events team. So pretty hard to top that, when you're hanging out at these kind of rock and roll music experiences and rubbing shoulders sometimes with musicians in different areas that the normal public doesn't get to see, I guess.
And what was the was the most memorable aspect of that, really the personal experience of the travel and things like that, or was it also the types of content and the success like of the campaign itself?
It was a little bit of both, but yeah, definitely living that rock and roll lifestyle for a few months was, in terms of the experiences, it was actually a ton of work because we'd go to the event all day, and then it would usually be myself and an editor all the way in some hotel suite until the early morning hours, pumping out content for the next day. So a ton of work, but it was really fun and invigorating to be on a deadline type experience like that and creating really good work too. And yeah, we interviewed Lizzo before she blew up, and then all these fans who are just fanatic about, going to these events. So just really a lot of energy there. And yeah, we were happy with the results as well. It was kind of the company's first foray into that type of thing, the kind of the early days of working with influencers and whatnot. And we got a lot of engagement, interaction on our social channels, and also drove some sales, which was, the main goal of the campaign.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Sounds hard to beat in terms of what you were doing, and yeah, the work sounds really interesting. And what about at Next Insurance? So, in more recent years, is there really sort of standout, not even necessarily most successful, but just really memorable campaign from recent years, and what was the kind of measure of success with that campaign?
Yeah, so this year, I mean, very different on the side on the spectrum of content marketing, I guess, but there's some similar themes this year where we've been focusing a lot on partnering with our customers and trying to build more of a community and telling their stories. So one campaign we're working on is claim stories where people get insurance for well, they get insurance for a couple of reasons. Sometimes they have to have it. There's a requirement from a client or something. They need insurance. And then other times they want it to protect their business in case something bad happens. Um, so this year we're kind of focusing on that and really showing how insurance can help when something bad happens and how we step in to make it right as quickly as we can. Um, so thus far, it's been really positive. We've talked to some really interesting customers, a retailer in Atlanta, and we were just in the Southeast talking to a carpenter who had a claim recently. So that's been pretty memorable from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, that sounds really, really memorable. It sounds great. On my other podcast, the bi-weekly show that we have, the Content 10X podcast, I recently interviewed a guy called Mike Bolton, and his job title is Chief Storyteller at Agora Pulse. So it's pretty cool, pretty cool job title, and it just sounded quite similar in terms of what that role entails, is getting out there and getting these really interesting stories, obviously not from people who've got insurance from them, but from people who are using their platform, their social media platform. And we had a really great conversation about storytelling and content and the power of it and things like that. So completely can relate to what you're saying in terms of the power of a story and why it's just really great to get out there and hear the actual customers share their experiences. So can you imagine what a great campaign that would make? In
Yeah.
terms of the different types of content that you guys create, because I know you create lots of different types of content, different formats and things like that. What's your favorite type of content to repurpose? So which type of content in particular do you find you manage to get the biggest ROI from, like the biggest return from that content into more content-free repurposing?
Yeah, right now we're focusing a lot of energy on repurposing our blog content. We've had a blog since the company was started, basically over 400 blog posts there, covering a lot of different topics, small business tips, insurance 101, and everything in between. And right now we're focusing a lot of attention on looking at the content that performs best there from an organic perspective and then testing to see how it works on other channels. So recutting it for some UGC content on social and seeing what the response is there. Using it for our email newsletter and getting it out that way, and also working with our lifecycle marketing team. So I'd say from a repurposing standpoint, that's mostly what we're focusing on.
It's really interesting. And I was writing a script to go on our new sales page this morning, and I came across a really interesting statistic, which was that 70% of B2B marketers feel that they don't repurpose content at all or enough. It's a real challenge. They're aware, basically, they're creating lots of content and it doesn't get repurposed. How do you feel that you guys stand in terms of, obviously you're repurposing blog posts, but do you feel that you repurpose content as much as you would hope, or do you sometimes see those repurposing opportunities pass by?
I definitely think we could do more, but we're off to a good start this year. And yeah, you're right. It's hard, especially in organizations where you maybe don't control the channel. I guess I'm lucky enough where, I'm managing the social team and, the ad creative side and organic. So it's easier to repurpose on those channels. But with other areas like the lifecycle marketing, for example, it takes socializing and just making sure that everyone's aware of your content that's out there. So I really try to be active in doing that, setting the meetings, having having conversations too. I mean, you don't need a Zoom meeting for all this stuff, but, sharing your excitement with the rest of the team, either in person or on Slack or, whatever mode is best for you at the moment.
Absolutely. Are there any content creation or content management tools that you're particularly loving at the moment? So we talked before about doing more with less and looking to streamline things and look at content workflow and process. Are there any tools in particular that you're loving?
Yeah, we use a few different tools. I mean, I guess the one that's on the tip of everyone's tongue is Chat GPT and AI stuff that's emerging. So we're lucky enough to have access to the enterprise program for that. So we've been using it a lot just for ideation, for um, improvements on brand voice and tone. And I think that's probably the bulk of how I use it, at least at this point.
Yeah. And what are your views overall? Like, obviously, we've it's over to AI, like with that answer of your Chat GPT. So, in terms of kind of overall usage for AI, and using it throughout the company, are there any like rules that you have when it comes to marketing and content creation of the ways and the methods that you do use versus you don't use, and are you still figuring these things out, or do you have AI policies in place and tools that you can and can't use and things like that? Like where are you guys in that side of things?
It's a little bit of a mix. I
Is
mean,
it?
yeah, I mean, we definitely have some policies in some areas, and other areas we're still figuring it out. So, um, definitely the one policy is review everything, fact check everything, and make sure, and this applies for any type of content, but insurance is important, compliance is important. So we take that very seriously, and have a process for reviews before they're published. We also very early on said we're not going to create AI content at scale, right? Like some companies are just churning out article after article on AI content, and some found some success and were later dinged by Google or SEO or whatever. But I think our position on it is we can use AI to enhance human generated content, and help us do things maybe faster and more efficiently. But at the end of the day, it's crucial to add that human touch still, and to add some perspective and something new where we can. That's really the biggest focus for us.
Just a super quick break from this conversation to let you know that if you're a B2B technology or professional services company and you want help with streamlining your content operations, outsourcing your content repurposing is the number one way to produce more high quality content and boost your ROI without putting any more pressure on your team. In fact, it could save your team up to 30 hours per week. We offer content repurposing services for video and audio content. Whether you have a show or you're launching a brand new one, maybe you have an archive of awesome content, be it webinars or a virtual event, or you want help creating thought leadership content that we can repurpose, we've got you covered. Head to content10x.com to see how we can help you and start increasing your efficiency and the value you get from your content. Now back to the conversation. Do you have any funny stories or cautionary tales of when anyone's used AI and it has backfired somewhat, with what was created or what was shared or anything like that? Any six-finger images or
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, there's nothing too crazy that has backfired on us. I mean, we've done some testing on imaging on our paid ad side just to see how that would perform, and on organic too, just having some fun. I think National Burrito Day, we created some wild burrito images for Instagram just to see if the audience would like it or not.
Yeah, I think there's lots of great things about AI, but similar to you, it's just good to kind of proceed with caution and play around with it a little bit. But you mentioned about some of the implications as well of using AI, and that's something that we're really aware of, the copyright ownership and trademark and things like that, and the fact that AI tools provide anything to you that may be trademark, copyrighted, patented, anything. It does no check at all on the legalities, what it provides you. And also whatever you put in then goes shared with other people as well. There's nothing confidential when you feed something into one of these tools. It will ingest it and then share it with somebody else. So there's quite a lot to think about. And I've been finding on this third season of the B2B content strategist, as I have been asking people about AI. It's great, to hear people are using it, and it's great to hear that they're finding good use cases. But I think there's an acknowledgement that it's a little bit still like the Wild West out there, and there's still quite a lot for us all to understand in terms of some of those implications and things like that. So yeah, it's getting there, but there's more to do, and I think more that companies need to do to have AI frameworks in place and policies and guidelines, isn't there? Which seems to be a focus for many companies. Looking into your crystal ball, what do you think the future of B2B marketing and content is going to look like in the next 5 to 10 years? What kind of changes or innovations and things like that do you think will be on the horizon in content marketing for B2B?
Yeah, that's a really tough question considering the pace of change with AI and everything else going on now. But kind of to continue on that train of thought, I think, it's more easy than ever to create content and put it out there using these tools. And I think, the B2B companies and everyone in general, the ones who can use that and then also take it up a notch and add something new to the conversation, to delight their customers or to inform their customers, educate them. I think there's going to be clear winners and losers on that front, right? I look at AI as kind of consensus content, and there's a lot of that out there. And even before, like SEO, there's a lot of, and we've gone down that path a little bit as well, where you find a keyword and you write a piece of content to the best of your ability based on online research. And guess what? That's exactly what AI does. And all that content is, AI is winning with AI overviews and everything else. We're seeing it already. So, and over the next 5 years, the companies that win are going to be doing less of that and more of the storytelling, more of the adding value to their customers.
Maybe we'll see more people with the role title chief storyteller within content teams like Michael, Tim, because I agree with you on that for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. More storytelling.
So. Yeah. Okay, so on every episode of the B2B Content Strategist in season 3, we're doing something a little bit different. So we're finishing off by asking you a question that was posed by the previous guest, and then we allow you a good time to ask a question to the next one. So the last guest that we had, the person asking you this question, is Shannon Howard, who is the Director of Customer and Content Marketing at Intellim. And the question that she has asked you is,
how do you keep voice of customer top of mind? How are you keeping tabs on the conversations and the pain points, the things that really matter to the individual people in your industry, not just kind of the trend reports that we tend to reference?
Yeah, it's a great question. And we have a few different methods for that. One, we're lucky to have a great research team who's always talking to customers and entrepreneurs and sharing that information so we can learn more about different segments that we're focusing on as a business. Beyond that, we have a very active community engagement team. So we're reviewing every interaction on our social content, on all the reviews platforms that come in, and addressing those comments, but also tracking them and tracking sentiment and the different categories that people are talking about. So that's great in identifying pain points, and also seeing our successes and where people are loving our product.
Awesome. Great answer. Thank you. So now it's your time to ask a question. So I like to position it as if you were in a room, in a mastermind, something like that, and you were surrounded by heads of content and directors of content, people in a similar role to yourself, what question would you like to ask your peers that you would be interested in finding out the answer of?
The content marketing world has evolved a lot over the past 12 months. What channels do you think are going to be most important for growth for your company in the coming 12 months?
Awesome. Thank you. Great question. Well, I'll let you know who that question goes to, and also we'll be putting together you asking that question and the guest answering it in our content that goes out as well. So we'll be sharing all of that with you. That's another point. Well, Matt, thank you so much. It's been a really great conversation. It's always really good to hear from people who are managing content teams in different types of companies to see, hear your experiences and obviously share some tips and advice along the way. Where would you like people to go to connect to let you know they listen to this and enjoyed the conversation? Would that be LinkedIn, or is there any other call to action you'd like people to make?
Yeah, you can definitely reach me on LinkedIn. That's probably best. I'm on the socials off and on at Metro_Matt as well. So I pop up there from time to time, but LinkedIn is probably most active for me now.
Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll share the links to all of that in the show notes. If you're listening to this now, just pop down to the show notes and click on those links if you want to connect and say hi to Matt. So thank you so much, Matt. It's been an awesome conversation, another great episode of B2B Content Strategies. So thank you for joining me today.
Thanks, Amy. It's been a pleasure. Enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of B2B Content Strategies. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Feel free to connect with me on social media. You can find me, Amy Woods, founder of Content 10X, on LinkedIn. If you get in touch, please do leave a message and let me know that you listen to B2B Content Strategist. You can also connect with Content 10X. We're on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And for more insights on optimizing your content marketing and the power of repurposing, head over to content10x.com. You'll discover valuable resources to help you maximize the impact of your content. We have our sister podcast, the Content 10X podcast, hundreds and hundreds of blog posts, and a library full of free resources and guides, all about how to be a better content creator and content repurposer. If you're seeking consulting support or a trusted partner to handle your content creation, repurposing and distribution, then also reach out to us. We offer a world-class, fully managed service that takes care of as much or as little as you need when you need it. Once again, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'll catch you in the next one.